Okay, I just pressed the button. Damn. Sorry, everybody. All right, we are live now on YouTube. Sorry, everybody, for the delay here. I forgot to press the button. I guess no one was in the chat here saying anything except for the people on the call. So I blame you, patrons. But no, okay. Maybe Shams, could you I don't know if there were people chatting about it in the Discord. Would you be able to let them know quickly that this is happening now? Or someone. But okay. Apologies again. But
yeah, there's no real chat. I think it's only people in Couple Zone and Ad Drop are the only recent things. So I guess all right, people are just waiting to enjoy this and Christmas. Let's just say that.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, maybe Christmas Eve, Saturday afternoon isn't prime time to get a lot of viewers. But here we are for anyone watching after the fact. We've done 8 teams already. You can see on my screen who's been picked so far. And I'm going to start round 9. So, okay, I'm going to get back to the show here. All right, welcome back. We are 8 teams down. We got 8 to go for this half before we switch over to the Fantasy Hockey Life podcast. So I get to pick a team. I've got 2 teams where I think there's still a clear number 1 and number 2 is far away. I'm almost trying to think strategically of who will fall to me. Maybe I should. It's so hard to choose between the 2. I like them both equally, but okay, let's go. I'm going to go to San Jose because I know it's Victor's favorite team, so maybe they were more likely to get taken. I'm also curious to, in general, just get Victor's take on this guy because I have him on my couple team. But Alex Barabanov is someone who's been getting great deployment. He's been on the top power play all season. In the last game, he was playing on a line with Meyer and Couture, I guess, because Hurdle was suspended, so obviously that won't last. But he's been playing with Couture then on the other line. If you look at San Jose, the options aren't super exciting once you get past the guys who are ineligible. I'll just bring it up quickly here. Yeah, so you can't take Erik Karlsson, of course, Timo Meyer, Hurdle, or Couture. And then everyone else is available. And somehow Barabanov only 4% rostered. And this is a guy who is pointing pretty well. He's now up to, oh no, brought up the wrong page.
Elon, Couture is available. It's 50% or less, so he is available.
What? He wasn't 50%? Wow.
He is.
Do I get a mulligan now?
Which is why, I guess so, which is why I almost picked San Jose for that reason alone, because you have Logan Couture just dipping. I've been watching him slowly dip from 53, 52, 51, and then today he's 50%.
Wow. Yeah, I prepared yesterday on Friday and he was 51 or whatever, so I thought he wasn't eligible. Okay, well, that changes things. We each get one mulligan here based on new information. So I guess someone else could take San Jose. And I hope that I'll get top 2.
You want a new team? You want to go to a new team?
I'm going to go to a new team.
Oh, okay.
Barabanov, I will just say 21 points in 30 games. So it's a pretty solid season for him, but I'd still probably take Couture. But okay, I'll go to Vegas then, because there is also a guy who, if Couture wasn't available in San Jose, I thought Barabanov was the clear guy that's the front runner. And on Vegas, I think it's similar. So on Vegas, we're not allowed to take Eichel, Pietrangelo, Theodore, Mark Stone, Marchessault, Stevenson, who, by the way, Chandler Stevenson just put up a 4-point game, his second 4-point game in a couple weeks. So he's insane. Riley Smith isn't available also, which leaves me William Karlsson, who's always solid, right? Good, 60-point-ish guy. He's actually on a bit of a hot streak right now, 3 assists in a row in 3 straight games. So yeah, I'm going to Vegas. I'm taking William Karlsson. Sorry for the long delay as I was confused about the San Jose rostership. But Karlsson only, what is he? Probably in the 30s if I were to guess here. William Karlsson, 33% rostered. So eligible, and I'm taking him. And now over to Shams.
And I have a list, and there's a player on the top of it that I decided last night, but my brain is telling me not to take him because it's who it is. But I was going to say eat my vegetables, but I don't want to put him with this. But I'm just going to pick Kessel and just hope for the best. There's other guys that, depending on how risky you want to be, that has a lot more upside, but I'm scared to tell just randomly get scratched or set down and then never see a game. But I'm not happy. I'll just take Kessel.
Yeah, not a great team. Not a great team to pick from. Again, because a lot of the best players on this team have made it up to the higher levels. So they're simply not available to us for this part of the draft. Well, you know what? Got to take some defensemen at some point. I'll go ahead and take Braden McNabb right now. 10 assists on the year. I guess that's something. And I'll get one of my 7 defensemen out of the way.
Yeah, this is a good choice, Elon, because the rest of these options really stink. they have some good guys at the top. I guess I'm gonna go with a bit of a risky pick because some of the other guys have some decent upside, I guess. Some of the other forwards that get points every now and then. But I'm gonna go with Daniil Miramanov, who has been kind of a revelation this year. He's kind of someone who's been kicking around the last couple of years, and he's been he's a defenseman, I guess I should say, and he's been doing really well in the A. And when they called him up, obviously part of his production recently was when Pietrangelo was out and Theodore was injured, but he seems to be kind of sticking around, and Vegas scores a lot. So I'm just praying that he doesn't get sent down. I think that's what Shams was alluding to. And we'll just kind of cross your fingers and hope that Miramanov sticks around and get some points. So that's my pick.
All right, Shams, you are up to pick team number 10 for us.
Yeah, so I'm taking like the risk adverse first picks and just seeing teams where I just don't like any of like the bottom people, or at least that would be on my rankings. So I'm going to go with Ottawa here, and even with like in his name, the center that's coming back, I'm still going to take. Yeah, with Norris coming back, I'm fine with taking Pinto here because he was still doing some stuff as the third line, and hope that even with that lower deployment, that maybe he just gets easier competition and still keeps on pointing and does better than the random people after.
Yeah, this is one where I don't mind being second. And even though I'm kind of checking the injury news right now, and I don't see anything that suggests it's going to be a long-term issue, I'm going to go ahead and lock down Jake Sanderson from the Ottawa Senators as another one of my defensemen.
Yeah, it's definitely who I would have picked second. And yeah, we didn't mention Brady Tkachuk, Alex DeBrincat, Claude Giroux, Tim Stützle, Thomas Chabot, Drake Batherson, all over 80%. And then Josh Norris, injured for a while, but at 58%. So none of those guys are eligible. Slim pickings after the Pinto Sanderson duo right there. There's a bunch of meh forwards and some even more meh defensemen. I think I'm going to go with a guy who's had some streaks of scoring and has had some decent production. He's injured right now, but he's supposed to be back soon, as far as I can tell, and that's Matthew Joseph.
Woof. Yeah. This is a really hard pick right now. Everyone is, I'm having trouble even thinking of a guy who will like for sure be in the lineup. Like that's all I want with this pick, a guy who will play games for the Ottawa Senators. And like, yeah, after those top two lines, maybe Shane Pinto, and then you got, Sanderson on D. Okay. Next up in the team scoring is Tyler Mott. He's day to day. Maybe I should just look up quickly what his this is like interesting podcasting here. Looking up Tyler Mott's injury status. I'm seeing here that he sustained an upper body injury on Thursday. Will miss the rest of the contest. All right, I guess I'm not going to take a swing on Tyler Mott, who's injured. Derek Brassard just gets scratched sometimes. Sometimes he also gets a good roster spot. Jeez. Okay. Give me Derek Brassard. I don't know. This sucks. Okay. I have Brassard. Watch him not even play another game in the NHL for the rest of the year once Norris is back. But okay. I feel very depressed now. So Jesse, you could go.
I don't think I have a way that's going to cheer anybody up here. I'm going to pick a new team. And even though normally I'd try to get one that had one above everybody else, I'm going to have a pretty depressing pick one for them. I'll go to the Pittsburgh Penguins and grab Jason Zucker. He's had good scoring, at least for this season. His power play is down to minimal, but at least he plays with Malkin. His production lately has not been great, but he was also injured and out a couple games, and he must be back and feeling frisky because apparently he had 7 hits 2 nights ago.
Well, frisky is definitely what you want in your forwards. So that's good.
It's a bash league, right, Victor? Is it bash? Oh shoot, I had it all wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. So Pittsburgh, yeah, they have got some terrible options though. It's not the most depressing. In fact, I think I know that he's playing on a little bit of a lower line, but I kind of like Jeff Carter, similarly to Jason Zucker. So I think that's not making me too upset. I think he's looking like he's got a similar points upside. We also we should mention, so Crosby obviously not available. Gensel, Malkin, Letang, Raquel, Rust, who's shot up recently, had a big resurgence, and then Jeff Petrie was really close to that line, but he didn't quite make it. Carter's been cold though for the last several, so I'm hoping that maybe he can kind of turn it around. But I'll take him.
Yeah, it's the situation now. I wish I could know what's going to happen in the future with defense. Like, do I need to take D? I have 2 D out of 7 required, and this is like team number 11 out of 32. I could just go with a boring defense pick here, since like the forwards are also boring. So maybe I'll just do that. I think I'm going to go Marcus Pettersson, who's on top pairing with Letang. Is probably going to get like 5 points for the rest of the season, but I'm not too excited about the forwards. There's one forward that like we used to think was good back when he was on Toronto, but he's been quiet for a while. That's probably who Shams is going to take though.
Yep, because I was doing that same debate and I was going to take Pedersen, so I'm going to take Kapanen and just shrug. That's basically my analysis of him.
He has upside. He had a hat trick back at the start of the month against St. Louis on 4 shots. Since then, he hasn't had a game of more than 2 shots. Actually, every single one of Kapanen's game has been 1 or 0 shots, except for 1 2-shot game all month. So not too exciting. So yeah, that was a good pick by Jesse to grab Zucker. He was one of my top guys for sure to take, but you guys keep leaving me. You know, I already used Krejci, Schmaltz, and William Karlsson, so I guess I can't complain with my number 1 picks. But now, Victor, you get a number 1 pick.
Yeah, this is tough. I'm trying to decide what I want to do here, but I definitely don't have enough D. And let's see. Yeah, I only have Moser. Oh no, I have Miramonov. I have 2. Okay, but I think I'm gonna go with Toronto because I think that they have not the most exciting options. They kind of have some meh forwards, and I think this defenseman can outpoint their forwards the rest of the way. And of course, I'm talking about Rasmus Sandin. I know that some of his production might be time limited based on, you know, what's going on with Morgan Riley, but he's also just very good. And the Toronto Maple Leafs score a lot, so I hear. And so he's out there a decent amount. He's getting some power play time. He'll probably continue to get some power play time even when he's back. So I like me some Rasmus Sandin, and the other options aren't as exciting to me.
Fair enough. I hope you're aware he's injured currently, but maybe you're assuming he'll get back. He's on the injured reserve with a neck injury from Thursday, or he's placed on injured reserve on Thursday. But yeah, he might be back after the Christmas break. There's some time to heal. So hopefully you'll get some games out of your number 1 pick on Toronto. And like you say, not too many amazing options left. There is a guy who's been getting some top 6 minutes lately and seems to be doing okay with them. That's Calle Jarnkrok playing with Tavares and Marner. Obviously, like, that would be more of like a streamer recommendation as opposed to rest of season like this draft. But for now, you know, if you're playing with Tavares, and did I say Tavares and Marner? Oh yeah, so it's been Matthews, Bunting, and Nylander. It's held. Oh, Matthews and then Marner have been apart for a little bit. But yeah, Jarnkrok has points in each of his last couple games. I'm actually counting 5 points in his last 6 games. So yeah, not too shabby at all. Give me a Calle Jarnkrok here over on Toronto, and I'll hope that he sticks on that second line.
Yeah, he was someone that I was eyeing, so I'm just gonna take another shrug pick and just hope that Kerfoot just gives me some stuff and it's not horrendous.
Yeah, you could set your watch to Kerfoot giving you like a point every 3 games, probably.
Oh man,
I'll take that.
I would assume my watch was broken the whole time if that's what it looked like. But I hear you, man. What an uninspiring. Okay, folks. So it's not a matter of Toronto hate. It's really a matter of Toronto love, because their top picks are so good that once you get down to some of these lower guys, it's like, you know, there's a clear There's a clear break there.
Oh yeah, we didn't announce it actually. I'll just say really quickly. So Marner, Matthews, Nylander, Tavares, Morgan Riley, and Bunting are all unavailable.
Yeah, and boy, howdy are they. Yeah, I'll take David Kampf, I guess. I guess it's good that I have the fourth pick.
I just wanted to also mention we didn't pick him, no one took him, but Connor Timmins is someone who, if you're looking for a deep stream, he's someone who's, not getting the most time on ice. And yes, there are some injuries, and that's why probably the only reason he's playing, and probably the reason he didn't get picked here. But you never know. If you're in a deep enough league, he's someone who's had some offense, but always struggled with injury. And now that he's had the opportunity, and like I said, Toronto scores a lot. I mean, 2 of his assists are secondary, so that's the other reason some of this may just be noise. But hey, if you want a lottery ticket, pick up Connor Timmins, and if it's a deep enough league, you may be real happy with that, or you just drop him later.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, you got to listen to Fantasy Hockey Life for these really deep cuts like Connor Timmins. But yeah, you never know. Okay, now we're getting to the point where I don't see any teams with just one obvious. Now there's some teams with 2 obvious, and then it falls off. So I guess you want to take a risk averse pick here. So it's over to me, and I guess I'll go back to San Jose, but this time take Logan Couture, which is a gift for Shams, I guess. But Shams has been great doing all these amazing retweets for game day tweets, so I owed him a gift anyways. So here you go. I really like the second pick you're going to get, who I was going to pick before, but I thought that Couture wasn't available. But he's not even available on my spreadsheet here because it's out of date. So while I go and update my spreadsheet so Couture can be selected, Shams, you can go up and take the second pick over on San Jose.
Just listed a few minutes earlier on what Elon said on Barabanov, and that's why I'm taking him.
Yeah, not great over here. Not great over here. I'll go ahead and take the guy who was the apple of Victor's eye a few years ago, but I think they've fallen out of love, so I won't make Victor take him, and that will be Kevin LeBanc.
Yeah, still my embedded handle on Discord, straight to the bank. But yeah, he's not. That's his Twitter handle, by the way. It's not been great for him. San Jose has been painful to watch. But they are, what I love about what they're doing is that they're scoring goals and still losing. So that's great, right? You get your best odds at the lottery, and you're more entertaining and providing at least some fantasy value, not so much for the goalies, but for the skaters. Obviously Karlsson having an amazing season in Meyer. But another defenseman, one of their newer defensemen that is scoring a little bit more than I guess we might have expected, and getting a little bit of that power play time that was going to Ferraro, is Matt Benning. So I'll take Matt Benning. He's getting a decent amount of apples. He's 0.4 points per game right now. The other options kind of stink here. Nico Sturm, who actually he's getting about the same number of points as Benning, and he might have a little bit more role, Nico Sturm, because Luke Kunin is out. But they just really don't have any depth scoring on this team, and so that's why these other options kind of stink. So yeah, I guess Matt Benning, gross.
He's decent for bankers. He's definitely someone people should be looking at for a cupful on a week where San Jose plays a lot of games and you need a D. But yeah, for this, we'll see how many points that Benning gets you. All right, Shams. Benning was available in our Dynasty League for a lot of the season until someone finally grabbed him. Victor, you didn't want to go grab him there?
No, because I don't think he's ever going to be more than on a really good team, Matt Benning is a 7th, 8th defenseman. On a so-so team, he's locked in a third pairing banger role, kind of like your he's in that role of someone who hits a lot and can do a second power play, but he's just not that exciting. So I don't think he has that potential to really move up.
All right, fair enough. Okay, so Shams is up, which means I'm going to have 4th pick in this round. So Shams, just remember, I just gave you a gift. Just keep that in mind as you make your pick.
So I'm going to be given a gift because I think a lot of the players here are going to be fine, but I wanted a defenseman, and I think he's one of the interesting ones. I'm going to go with LA, and I'm going to take Jersey, and then you guys have the pick of all the other interesting forwards that you can have here.
Oh, we're over to LA. LA is a target-rich environment, so to speak. I like a lot of the guys on this team. I'm going to go for the man who has tortured poor Thomas and I on our NFC team for 2 straight years now, and that will be Victor Arvidsson. I like his game. There's a couple of other guys who I really would love to have gotten. I would have loved to have the 4th pick this time, but I'll go with Victor Arvidsson for this one.
Victor Arvidsson is frustrating me so much right now in Cupful because I have him, and what happened to this guy? He used to like shoot a lot, and it just seems like he's shooting less. He ended up with 4 shots last night, so that was a little bit better. But there's been a couple games where he hasn't been doing as much, and it's just been kind of frustrating. And right now he's kind of on the third line, and so that's been a little disappointing. So I would have begrudgingly taken him, Jesse. That is, I think, the second best option, and his points per game is better. But Alex Alafalo is who I'm going to take, and I'm not too upset with that because he's actually been on that spot where Victor Arvidsson has been for a long time with Danault and Moore. It has been Danault, Moore, and Arvidsson forever, and they've been such a great line, but they kind of mix that up and put Alafalo there, and he's been producing. So I'm not terribly upset with that. I don't know that it'll continue, but what else are you going to do? I guess you can take the other guy that Sham's probably going to take and would be about the same.
Yeah, so we should mention on LA, so Fiala, Doughty, Kopitar, and Kempe are all the ones above 50% rostered. Jersey was definitely a good pick there. Probably should have thought about that. But again, it's hard to know like what D are going to be left by the end of this draft. So, but yeah, for 4th pick on LA, I'm not going to overthink this. Just give me Phil Danault locked in to center that second line. Should probably be good for 0.5 point per game. So yeah, I'll lock in Danault, and then we go over to Jesse to start round 15.
Okay. We start round 15 with me. Yeah, the teams are getting so even at this point in terms of the number of players. The talent is flattening out, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I am going to go to St. Louis and hope that in the second half, Ryan O'Reilly, the captain, looks better than he has looked from a scoring perspective in the first half. It's been a pretty miserable scoring situation where he's only 0.5 point per game, but he's better than that. And so I'm going to bank on the rebound.
Is it me? It's me, right? I'm still befuddled about you taking Ryan O'Reilly because he's so dang frustrating right now. Actually this last week in the Cupful, somebody dropped him, and I was like, "Ooh, I want to get him for that Monday Tuesday stream because they had those 2 games early in the week, and I was trying to maximize that." And he did absolutely nothing, and he's done absolutely nothing several times this season. So when you say he's better than that, I don't know. Is he? Like he seems like he kind of stinks now. He should. He's still playing with good line mates as Ryan O'Reilly, but yeah, he's not doing much, and that's very frustrating. So Tarasenko, Buchnevich, Falk, Kyrou, Krug, Shen, Robert Thomas, all over 50%. And then Ryan O'Reilly at 36%. The rest are all less than half of that. So they're all some pretty slim pickings here. But actually, the guy from last year who was really lighting it up and was one of the best pickups, Ivan Barbashev, is kind of doing it again. So, he's still getting some pretty low level deployment, but he's getting some top power play time, getting a little bit in the some top 6 minutes here or there. So I'm just hoping that Barbashev can go on one of those long-term runs. He actually picked him up and he helped our team all the way into the semis. And then I had to drop him in the middle of the playoffs to fit someone else in our dynasty league that I won. And he and everyone was like, "Oh, you dropped Barbashev. He's going to be, he's going to be so good." And then he's stunk most of this year, but maybe he's going to turn it back around and be good again. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, Barbashev's been like at the top of my streamer list in Cupful like all season long, pretty much. Someone always takes him whenever St. Louis has a couple games in a row. Then he always gets dropped again, and I've taken him. I don't think he's done much for me when I've streamed him in. So I'm glad to not end up with him. Not that I get like such a great option here. I guess we've got O'Reilly off the board. So give me his line mate, who's been really just nothing. Has Brandon Saad even like played all season? Like I feel like I haven't heard anyone mention his name. He has 10 points in 27 games. He had an assist in that crazy game versus Vegas yesterday, where Vegas won in overtime 5-4 or shootout.
I think he was injured for a decent bit. I forget why, but I remember like seeing news of like him coming back, and like I was like, do I even retweet this? Because like we try to keep, not to be too mean to him, of trying to keep it to like fantasy relevant people, and he was just like, I remember just that coin flip of deciding if we care enough about him. So
yeah, he's like enough that like, yeah, if St. Louis has like a Streamagami 1 week, then maybe people are interested in streaming Sodin. But yeah, he's definitely borderline. But for third pick here, it's not as if I'm leaving you someone great. I'm even curious to know who you're going to take, Shams. Maybe I have a guess. Maybe the other O'Reilly line mate.
I am. You know what? I'm just going to stick with my list. You all took the 3 on here, and then for some reason I put this guy on 4th on my list, and I'll just hope that Pareko randomly just gets some points and just take a person, one of my D spots off. So hopefully I can get a better forward with one of my other picks later in the draft.
All right, so we're over to Victor here to finish off the keeping Karlsson part of the podcast. So Victor, over to you.
Yeah, it's getting tricky to figure out what's going on here, and who to pick, because there's definitely some decent options still. Yeah, like I think what Shams mentioned earlier, how risk averse do we want to be here is a bit of the question. I'm gonna go and I guess do something slightly risky, but I'm gonna go over to Winnipeg and take the, yes, I know, injured captain, but it sounds like he's only gonna miss a couple weeks and 4 weeks total, but about a few weeks of action, and that might still leave him as the highest point producer on this team for the rest of the season. Blake Wheeler, who's having a bit of a resurgence, and I'm saving you, Elon, from not having to go through the Blake Wheeler experience anymore on any of your roster. We've heard all the drama, so
I don't know if I told you the update yet. I got him back.
You got him back. Okay,
I've got Wheeler in my IR now.
Well, there you go. So, but you maybe don't want him in all your leagues. To kind of diversify your Wheeler experience. But
right.
I should mention that Kyle Connor, Josh Morrissey, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Nick Ehlers, Mark Scheifele, and Neil Pionk are all not available. And Blake Wheeler is another one of these guys who has been trending down since I started looking at this last week, and he is now currently right at 50%.
Yeah, so you're able to sneak Wheeler in. You're just hoping. I think he's the clear good pick, assuming he comes back at some point soon. Another injured guy, I haven't seen too much about it. Like Perfetti just didn't play against Washington on Friday for an undisclosed reason. I don't know, Shams, you're always up to date here. What's wrong with Perfetti?
From what I saw, it was just that like someone, I think it was just like posted when they were posting lines, it's like, oh yeah, and also this guy stopped playing. So I'm in the same boat of just he's right. Could be a day, or we could see tomorrow that it's something serious. So hopefully it's nothing too long.
Yeah. No, Elon, I'm pretty sure he like lost a leg and an arm or something. So maybe right. Maybe just let that guy fall a little bit longer.
I wonder if it's like, yeah, I mean, you saw Zach Werenski just like kind of get hurt, didn't even look that bad. And then the next day they're like, oh, he's out for the season. So you never know, but I'll take the risk as well here. I'm going to go for Fetty. Sorry, Jesse. You'll get someone good with the 4th pick on
we'll see.
All right, Shams, you're up.
To be honest, I didn't even know of really this guy doing any fantasy points until we did this process. So luckily I haven't had to go this far down with my fantasy teams, but Adam Lowry's getting points. Let's hope that he keeps on doing it.
Yeah. No need to dig into Adam Lowry, probably. He's been doing what he always does for years now. Kind of like your Kerfoot pick. Another set your watch to a point every 3 games, in my opinion.
Oh, man. This is barren. This is some rough stuff. I guess I'll take a guy who theoretically is on power play 1 right now, Sam Gagner. Yeah, it's just rough, man. And he's on the second line. He apparently plays with Kyle Connor sometimes and Pierre-Luc Dubois. Let's just pretend that that's a good pick.
Yeah, 2012 or 2022. What is happening?
I mean, yeah, for as long as Perfetti and Wheeler are out, Sam Gagner might get some decent deployment. Carson Kuhlman also currently playing with Scheifele. In that last game, it was Scheifele, Kuhlman, and Morgan Barron was, I don't know, maybe the top line.
Wow.
And you know what? They lost. Are you surprised? Winnipeg lost to Washington. And Ovechkin, by the way, congrats. He scored those 2 goals to pass Gordie Howe. So congrats to him. One on the empty net still counts. But okay, that's it for the first half of this draft. We're 16 picks in. Should I repeat it? No, you check out keepingkarlsson.com/draft. I'll set that up to redirect to this spreadsheet here. If you want to check it, maybe at the very end we can repeat it all. We all have made 12. No, we've all made 16 picks. I have 3D, Jesse has 3D, and then Shams and Victor both have 4. We have to do 7, so it'll be fun in the second half to see how that all plays out. But yeah, as far as this goes, hope you enjoyed this part 1. You're used to listening to Keeping Karlsson episodes having 2 parts, but usually you're able to find the next part in the Keeping Karlsson feed, but not today. You're going to need to go and subscribe, if you're not yet, to the Fantasy Hockey Life podcast, which you'll easily be able to find where, at the same place where you get your Keeping Karlsson episodes, and check it out to hear this, the thrilling conclusion of this awesome draft. So thanks so much to Jesse and Victor for coming on. Shams, thanks for making your podcast debut, and congrats on your great picks so far. Thanks for giving me a bit of a layup with your Jersey round 1 or like first pick of the team. So I was able to get to know with 4th. I appreciate that. And yeah, we'll see you all on the Fantasy Hockey Life podcast. Bye.
All right. So how about I kick off this one, Elon, and I'll send it over to you for the pick, if that's cool.
Yeah, sounds good. I guess you'll do intros or something. Well, whatever you want to do. I'll talk when you tell me to talk.
Yeah, we can go around the horn real quick, maybe, but people should have listened.
That's true. Well, yeah, that you just need to make sure to mention, like, if you're here, stop right now and listen to part 1, I guess.
Yes, I think that's the way to do it rather than a whole round of intros. Yeah, good call. All right, everybody, we are here. We're here for the crossover draft, second annual. It's a holiday tradition where Keeping Karlsson Fantasy Hockey Life, we get the families together and we pick teams. And the rules here, well, first of all, here's the deal. It's a 2-parter. It's on the Keeping Karlsson feed. It's on the Fantasy Hockey Life feed. The best thing you can do right now, if you haven't heard the Keeping Karlsson episode, is you probably ought to go listen to it, or very little of this is going to make very much sense. But so go do that. Come back. Okay, you're back. Very good. Then we're going to get going on round 17 of the draft. You know the rules. Elon is up to start this round of the draft. So Elon, go ahead, man.
All right. Well, glad to be back on Fantasy Hockey Life podcast. Always a pleasure here. And yeah, so I'm picking from a team and I have to choose who it's going to be. There's one guy that jumps out to me. I'm just going to take a swing here. Like there's better, like, I just think this guy, I'm going to go to Florida. Okay. And I think there's one guy here with like a ton of upside. I think it's just a matter of his opportunity. Maybe when Victor and Jesse talk, with the prospects experts, I don't know if Anton Lundell still counts as a prospect, but he's only 21 years old. He's not having the best year, like points wise, like only has 14 points in 26 games after maybe more of a breakout last year where he had 44 points in 65, which is like a 56 point pace. Florida's pretty stacked. So sometimes he gets pushed down the lineup a little bit, but I just have a hunch that like, if I'm going to have a hit that turns into a home run, like my Nick Schmaltz from last year, I'm thinking it might be Lundell. So curious to get your guys' takes on those picks. But yeah, on Florida, obviously I would rather have some other guys, but I'm not able to because we have to pick people who are 50% rostered or less. And so, Kachuk, Barkov, Ekblad, Reinhart, Montour, Forsling, even Sam Bennett, Verhaeghe, all unavailable to me. So that's why I'm jumping on Anton Lundell, and it's over to Shams.
Yeah, he was my top pick for this team as well. So I'm thinking the same boat from what I'm seeing. He's on track to be back, and hopefully these extra days off for Christmas is just enough for him to come. So with that, I'm kind of taking another person that, I'll be honest, I'm not a prospect person, so I wasn't aware of him until he showed up on the score sheet. I'm going to take Luosterainen here because he seems to be performing well. And then anytime I see tweets, it's just people just speaking glowingly of him. So even when people are healthy and whatnot, hopefully he still finds a decent spot in the roster.
Well, we're deep on the Florida roster, and I get the third pick on this one. I am going off the board, gentlemen, off the board. It is Anthony Duclair, who is supposedly already skating. He's not months. He's just weeks away from making his debut per his coach, Paul Maurice. And I'm just going to bet that in this land of somewhat lower scorers that Duclair is able to come back and maybe start to make an impact around February and rack up a few points for me. for the end of the year. If you don't remember, 58 points in 74 games last year, and Florida could use that right about now.
Damn you, Jesse. He was going to be my off the board pick. Hoping people forgot about him. Yeah, I think that Anthony Duclair could end up having the most points of any of these guys that are left. He was 0.78 points per game last year. Of course, that was a different team, but that would be the highest of this group. I really like Lundell. He's really, really good and drive and play well. So like those picks, and Luosterainen has been kind of a revelation. Yeah, a lot of the analytics people were screaming like, this guy's really good at his small number of minutes. But when you give guys more minutes and responsibility, it doesn't always work out well. It certainly has for him, though. And if it sounds like I'm stalling, I kind of am, because my options suck now. So I guess I'll just have to pick someone who do I want to pick here? There aren't really good options. I guess I can just say who they are since I'm the only one left. So Hornqvist seems like he's kind of toast, and he's also very injured. Eric Stahl, their new third line center, who's been getting a couple points here and there, but he's also very old. Colin White, who was bought out by Ottawa and now is on Florida, and he's okay, not good in like a couple way, because he doesn't really have a peripheral floor. And Radko Gudas, who's the highest rostered of this group, 46%, but he doesn't really score. He's just more for your bash. So I guess I will go with Colin White of all these terrible options and just pray, I guess, because he's someone who has kind of bounced around the lineup. He has been in the top 6 and then in the bottom. So, maybe he gets a run and does it and keeps the spot. Who knows? It's mine.
Shams, you're
Okay.
up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So with this, I think I'm going to go with Dallas in this case. Talking about them, you got your obvious people. You got your Robertson, your Heiskanen, Pavelski, Hintz, Ben, and then Sagan hovering at 56% that you can't take. But with that, I'm going to be taking Marchment, just because I just love that he shoots a lot and he's been getting points. So hopefully the shooting keeps on going, and some of those can go in, and he has a nice balance of just being like they have their balance line. So even if he's bounced between 2 and 3, he's either playing with Ben or Sagan. So he's not playing with absolute no one if he's bumped to the third line. So happy to have him.
Yeah, it's a interesting team, but a guy who Victor and I talked about a couple of weeks ago, I'm going to go to Wyatt Johnston on this team and pick him up. He's another young guy. He's been playing on a line with Jamie Benn and Marchment. Before that, it was another guy who maybe I shouldn't bring up right now, but he's got a modicum of power play time. He's got a streak of some goals here lately. So give me Wyatt Johnston and hope that he grows into maybe a NHL breakout in the second half.
Yeah, that's who I wanted as well. This is a good pick, Shams. There's definitely a decent drop down, and frankly, Marchment should be doing even better than what he is right now. So there aren't really a whole lot of exciting options, but I have been excited about this player before, and we've talked about him a lot, and he's had a little bit of a run here and there, and that's Nils Lundqvist. Nils Lundqvist, who came over from New York, who doesn't need any more high upside defenseman, and he's someone who has offensive pedigree, and he's actually playing a decent number of minutes and not really providing like the best peripheral coverage, but enough to make him sort of rosterable on in peripheral leagues as well. But he's really billed as an offensive guy, so we'll see if he can continue to provide offense. He definitely is kind of more offensively creative as his strong suit, so he maybe should run the power play, but Heiskanen is just so good in all situations. That's probably why he's not.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the options are pretty slim here. So Lundqvist isn't too bad of an option as the second power play defenseman for whenever they go out there. I might also just knock off a D here. That's your 5th D, Victor. So you only have to take 2 more, but I still have to take 4 more. But let's make it 3. I'll take a D as well. I'll take Esa Lindell. He plays a lot of minutes, never gets a point, but he'll average around 20 points the rest of the way. So that'll give me a handful. But like, who else was I going to take? Ty Delandria, Yoel Kiviranta. It's not as if I like had an amazing group of forwards to choose from. So at least give me a D who is going to do something. He'll at least be on the ice for a while. He'll definitely not get scratched like maybe some of those forwards might. It's all right, Jesse, over to you to start round 19.
Well, I'm going to pop over to Tampa Bay. Kucherov, Stamkos, Hedman, Sergachev, point off the board. A guy who falls just under the 50% mark is Brandon Hagel. Hagel has 26 points so far in 30 games this year, power play 1, and I believe line 1 on Tampa, making them look like that investment. Yeah, he plays with Point and Kucherov. Has been pretty reasonable for them after paying up to Chicago for him. So Brandon Hagel from the Lightning for me in a relatively deep team.
Yeah, he's definitely who I wanted here, and he's been really good. Obviously, getting some. The nice thing about Hagel is that the team you can move him around and kind of play him on any line. So that's the good news. The bad news is he certainly can be moved off that line, and they could put someone else there. But he's also shown that he can play really well with those stars. So that should be good. There's some other forwards that kind of fit into this bill too, and continue to, like you said, they have 4, like everyone picked here should be well over half point per game. So it's not like you're picking from nobodies. But I'm going to take the guy who's kind of recently been back from injury and I think should be the second line center with some good forwards moving forward. And I know in the past he's played with like Stamkos and or Kucherov. So that's going to be Anthony Cirelli. I'm going to take him. Maybe not the most exciting, but he's someone who has had a pretty good run. And I think he's a really strong play driver. So he's not someone who's going to get scratched or get sent down to the bottom 6 because he kind of owns that role.
Yeah, I mean, Cirelli like right now has terrible deployment, like line 3 and no power play, but like you said, like they could easily switch that up at some point. Yeah, there's still 2 options here of guys who like, have been rostered on and off in my couple division and for good reason. So I guess I'll take the one remaining available player in the top 6. Oh, actually, no, Nemesnikov has been sent. There must have been an injury in the last game for Tampa. It was Stamkos with Nemesnikov and Paul, and then Point, Kucherov, and Hagel. There must be someone missing for that to have happened. But anyway, give me Nick Paul, I guess. He's playing with Stamkos. I think he gets some secondary power play time. So obviously that could change at any time, but yeah, he's been pretty good since coming over from Ottawa. So I'm happy to use a 3rd pick on Tampa with Nick Paul, and then Shams doesn't get too bad of a 4th option.
So I'm just gonna go with Kallords, another just steady guy that just happy to have any of these top 4 people. So definitely a team to be fine with getting the last pick here. So just another steady guy, nothing exciting from him, but definitely a good floor guy if you need one from good schedules.
All right. And I'm up to pick now, right? So this one I think is a little bit easier. I still have some teams on my list of where I wanted to pick first or would like to pick first. So we're going to go over to Calgary, and there's a bunch of guys not to pick. The epic disappointment, Jonathan Huberdeau is not available. Elias Lindholm, Nazem Kadri, Rasmus Anderson, Tyler Toffoli, Kenzie Weegar, also a bit disappointing, not available. Good for Bangs, not here, and Noah Hannafin. So there's quite a few guys under that. And what's actually interesting is one of the guy that I'm going to pick is one of the lowest rostered here, but it's because he doesn't do a whole lot but score points. But that's all we want to do here is score points. So I'm going to take Adam Ruzicka, and he is he's not getting like the most amazing time on ice. That's a little frustrating. I wish it was more, but he is generally still getting some decent deployment, although he's kind of been down in the lineup, but still producing. So I'm hoping he gets back up there and gets Milan Lucic's spot, who's been taking that recently. But Ruzicka had a big run, and I'm hoping it continues. So that's my pick.
Yeah, I definitely would be happy now to have like 4th on Calgary instead of going 2nd, because I see like 3 guys that are pretty even. But Victor, I've got to ask, Adam Ruzicka, I got him in our Dynasty League, got a free agency earlier this year. I'm happy to see that you're into him. He's available for a trade. If I'm going for a championship this year. So if you see long-term upside, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll give you Phil Kessel for him right now.
Will you retain it? No, just kidding. I don't even care if you do. Okay, so I guess just give me a guy who's hot, right? Give me Dylan Dubé, as Dave Betton would say. So he's currently playing on the line with Lindholm and Toffoli, but obviously Calgary's been changing around those lines a lot. And you can't get hotter than 8 points in his last 6 games for Dubé. He's taking a decent number of shots. So yeah, he's someone that probably people streamed in when Calgary had a really great schedule last week, and maybe they've now held on, or hopefully you really messed up if you dropped him after that streamogami, because he just keeps on producing, and goals too. He's scored goals in 3 of his last 4 games. So yeah, Dubé's been solid, but Sham still gets some solid options as well, and Jesse actually.
Yeah, and with that in mind, I'm going to go with Mangiapane. Really is just kind of always been getting decent deployment, even with the weird lines. He at least has someone half decent to play with, and kind of goes hot and cold at times. But with the season-long format, I'm just happy to ride the wave.
I believe that's going to leave me with checking the injured reserve, making sure nothing has changed. Mikhail Backlund, who's he's a third liner. He is what he is, but I sure as heck am not taking Milan Lucic here. So let's take Mikhail Backlund and run.
Oh, my turn. Sorry. All right, so that brings it over to me to start a new round. Very exciting. The options are, there's still some good players out there. It's more just now at this point, some teams just have a lot of even players, so it's hard to really stand out. But I guess I need D. I still need 3 more D, and there is a top power play defenseman out there right now. So I think it's time for me to just go to Anaheim. I'm sure no one's going to complain because there's some good, fun, young options. I know especially Victor and Jesse, who love their prospects, are going to be happy to take some of these young options on Anaheim. But I'll just grab Cam Fowler. Hope he holds that top power play. I guess he's, Klingberg, I guess, is always a threat. I guess if I just take a look here, was Klingberg's probably even available to me at this point. So the players I can't take are Troy Terry, Trevor Zegras. Yeah, I could have taken Klingberg because he's down to 44. Fowler only 14% rostered, but just going by how many points they've gotten so far, Fowler's been the guy you want. I'm already kind of regretting the pick, but I already used my my mulligan back when I chose San Jose the first time. So okay, over to you, Shams, to take one of the fun options over on Anaheim.
So now I'm going to have to think of who's going to be my first pick next time, because that was who I was targeting. So I'm going to go. You talked about young guys, but I'm going to go with someone else. Give me Henrique, because just he's played with Troy Terry and Zegras, so both on the power play on line 1. So hopefully you can just ride them some points here and there.
Oh man, I did not think I would be getting this guy at 3rd in the pick. I'm taking Mason McTavish for darn sure. Power play 1. He's been an absolute heater in terms of scoring. I love this pick. I would have loved to have, if it would have fallen a different way, I wouldn't have been disappointed at all, but I can't turn him down in the 3rd slot.
Well, I'm loving this. Thank you, Elon. I will accept this as your Christmas gift to me. You already know who I'm picking. I can see you're clicking on the spreadsheet. Yeah, I'm gonna take a D. Are hard to come by. Ryan Strome is still available, and he's obviously okay. Certainly decent streamer. Probably one of the a decent in terms of in my cupful division. He's the only one of these forwards available, and so he'd definitely be someone I'd be interested as a forward streamer, line 2, power play 2. But D are hard to come by. And John Klingberg, we talked about him actually recently on one of our episodes, Jesse, and we were talking about how he's not this bad. He was like getting no puck luck, and obviously Anaheim was kind of a dumpster fire, but he's playing for his livelihood. He's playing for his next contract. He is motivated, and so he's going to do whatever he can to make himself as appealing as possible as trade bait. I mean, I imagine he'll get traded either way, but it's going to matter what his next contract looks like. So hopefully they give him as much opportunity as possible to show what he can do. But I still think John Klingberg can be effective. And we've seen this movie before. Cam Fowler is the most boring power play quarterback ever. So let's give John Klingberg some time, please.
All right, now with Anaheim taken from me, I'm just gonna go with one of these other teams that maybe just like end up going with a forward, going with Colorado. And we got Rantanen, Makar, McKinnon, Landeskog, Taves, Nikushkin, and Lehkonen, and actually Byram is still hanging at 51%. And then with all the injuries and whatnot, all this could be muddled and whatnot, but I'm interested in Comfer as he's in the best position now to with Rantanen, and then hopefully, even if he gets shuffled down, that he gets enough points in this part before people come back that it's still decent for me.
Well, this is a team where I didn't like the options very much, so I'm not displeased at all to make one of my mandatory D picks with Sam Girard in the second place. He's not done squat so far this year, but he does get a bit of power play time, and hopefully he hasn't necessarily played every game this season yet either. Hopefully we get something good out of him here in the second half.
Well, Jesse, I was very frustrated with you taking Wyatt Johnston, but you redeemed yourself here by not taking the guy I wanted. So thank you. Evan Rodriguez, who has, came over recently, and he's, I still think they need a true better second line center, but he's filling that role right now and he's getting opportunity. Who knows what happens when their big guns get back, but I think he could hold that position and then, play with Rantanen and potentially still get power play time, although that's been going to Comfort. So we'll see. I still think that Rodriguez is similar to Comfort, so I'm happy getting him in the third spot. And yeah, over to you for the last one, Elon.
Yeah, I think I would have taken Rodriguez first on Colorado, just based on what the lines were back when the season started. Though, of course, with Landeskog potentially coming back, then yeah, he maybe gets bumped down and everyone is boring, including who I'm going to take, which is a guy I guess I'd be curious to get a take on from the prospect experts. But Alex Newhook, former, 16th overall pick. He's doing okay this year. Like he's got 12 points in 32 games. I guess last year he had 33 points in 71 games. So definitely not meeting that draft pedigree. Still only 21 years old. I'm curious, like Victor, do you still think Newhook has the potential to meet his draft pedigree, or are we at this point just like half point per game would be nice for him, like at some point in his career?
Well, he's not going to do what we sort of originally thought back in if you thought he was going to be like a point per game guy or a 70 to 80 point guy, I don't think that's the case. But I will say he has really kind of turned the corner recently. He was getting just caved in for a while there, and he's really turned that around, and he's been able to drive play pretty darn well. What still lacks is his offense. So he's at least doing he's doing well at getting the amount of ice time that he deserves or that he needs to be effective, but he's not really able to generate or convert the expected goals to goals. So it's going to be interesting. I think they really wanted him to be the line 2 solution, and I don't think he is. He's either like a bottom 6 center, or like he probably could be, an effective wing, sort of like what Lehkonen's been, and be sort of that 50-60, maybe with some power play time upside for more. But yeah, he's not going to be more than that, I don't think, at this point, even though he's 109 games in. So, I mean, you really should give him another 80 games or so till we make that full decision. But yeah, I think you have to adjust your expectations for Newhook. I don't think he's going to be that 70 plus point guy.
Fair enough, but I'll take him with a 4th pick here in this format. Thanks for the rundown there. Okay, Jesse, you're up.
So we're going by the updated percentages today, correct?
Yeah, is there someone new available that wasn't available yesterday?
Yeah, it might be a trick question, but I might have finally hit the daily double that Victor was talking about earlier in terms of the team that doesn't have anybody selected. And even though it's also a target-rich environment, I'm going to go to the Seattle Kraken, where Andrei Burakovsky is at 49%. So I guess even though everybody's going to be happy with this team, it's Christmas presents for everybody. But I'll start out with the Barracuda, as they used to call him when he was in Washington.
Yep, that was the team, and I've been watching that slowly fall. I was also watching Byram, hoping he would fall from the last team, and he didn't. He stayed right at 51%. But yeah, Seattle, amazingly, this team is good. They have a lot of good fantasy options, yet every single one of their players is under 50%. It doesn't really make sense. Of course, like most of them are all rostered in the cupful, but in your league, in other leagues, they might be available. So yeah, that's a good one. And yeah, basically take your pick here. There's so many good options of other players to pick from. So it's kind of been interesting to it's an interesting theory, Jesse, the why you would pick him. Because I was thinking of not picking Seattle just because they have so many good options. But yeah. Now it's hard to say who I want because they're all like decent, close to Burakovsky. I don't think he's that much farther ahead, but you never know. I guess I'm gonna take the guy that I'm most excited about, and I think who can be there all situations out there with shorthanded situations, empty nets, power play. And that's Manny Beniers. So I'll take him.
Sorry, I'm having a spreadsheet issue at the moment, which is very frustrating. But I think I'll just I added Burakovsky. He should be allowed now, but here, let me just.
I am a noted Beniers stan, Victor, so that was not an easy selection for me, but yeah, I think you can't go wrong either one of those guys.
Well, he is. I mean, Burakovsky is the points per game leader. So, I mean, I don't think it was a bad pick. I just think it's like I purposely did not want to pick Seattle because I'd be fine even at fourth. I think there's going to be good options for the other guys. And so just strategy wise, that's why I wouldn't have picked them. But I mean, Burakovsky seems like legit. He's doing all the things and he's converting. So there's also some pretty decent D on this team, which I'm sure Elon and Jams are thinking about.
Okay. I'll just we'll just not put him in now. We'll remember. Okay, I'll just put a point there. My bad. Good chatting there. Beniers. Okay. All right. Yeah, Victor, by the way, when we did our Calder candidates show on Keeping Karlsson, I think you and I both picked Beniers, correct me if I'm wrong, as like who we thought was the front runner. Do you think at this point it's going to go to someone else, or would you still pick Beniers at this point? I feel like it's still kind of up in the air. A lot of goalies that have really started to run away with it, though.
Totally up in the air, I think. I remember last year at this point, Matt Boldy hadn't even debuted, I think, and he was in the running. It would take something special for someone to debut now and walk away with the trophy, because usually you need a longer track record, but Power has been, I think a little underwhelming. We kind of knew that. We said that at the time, right? I mean, Dahlin's in his way, so that was one reason. I do think Beniers is going to find another gear in the second half of this year, and I do think that he's probably one of the front runners. And some of the other guys that have kind of come in out of nowhere and had some good runs and then not really been able to sustain it, I don't think that they're going to be in the conversation at the end.
Right. Yeah. I guess Kochikov over on Carolina has just been unstoppable. But like when Frederick Anderson comes back, like we don't even know what they're going to do. But if he gets
exactly.
Yeah.
But
Ranta
he's
amazing. Stunk in the last game. So like
my opponent had Ranta, so I was very happy with that.
All right. So man, there's just like they're all the same here. I guess I'm trying to decide between a couple guys. I guess give me Eberle, but I could see like two other guys that I could see also being similar. So I'm not too upset here. So Shaz, who are you going to take?
Yeah, happy to have this team picked because I wanted to add to my D, and I'm just going to take Vince Dunn. Seems to be just getting points here and there, so getting a lot of ice time. So just kind of getting on points because I don't think he's touching much power play time at all. So, but either way, he'd add to my D, and happy to have him over than random other guys on teams coming up.
Yeah. I mean, like definitely on Seattle, like McCann, I was looking at Oliver Bjorkstrand. We'll see if he ever is able to get back to what we expected him to be. And yeah, even like Justin Schultz is a D, but yeah, so it's a fun team where we're all kind of happy, I think.
I feel like Justin Schultz right now would be better than all but a couple of defensemen entirely left on the board. And he's not even getting picked. Seattle.
Yeah.
So
That's what surprised me. I would have thought, Elon, you would have taken it, even though they have some good forward options. But yeah, Schultz is going to be probably double the points per game a lot of the other guys available.
I blew it. But Eberle could be like point per game. But anyway, we'll have to see. Yeah, I'm curious to see. I need 2D left, so we'll see who I end up with.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll mark this down as a turning point. See if it manifests or not. All right. Is my pick? Yeah, I think so. So let's go over to not the worst team for everyone picking after me, but I'm most excited to pick from the Nashville Predators, and I think that they have, they're such a weird team. Like last year, they snuck into the playoffs, and everyone had an insane shooting percentage. This year, they only have 3 guys that are above 50% rostered: Roman Josi, Philip Forsberg, Matt Duchene. One of their leading goal scorers, I won't spoil it, but he's been terrible this year. So might not even get picked, frankly. But Mikael Granlund is who I'm going to take. None of these guys are super exciting, and there may be someone else more exciting than him, but I just like his deployment, line one, power play, top power play, or second power play, depending on how you look at it. And he's getting a lot of good opportunities out there, and he has been good before. So I'll take Granlund as my top pick.
All right, so I'm gonna go Johansson, even though he's pretty boring. But last year he had a really strong end to the season, so we'll see if he could do that this year. He scored a goal in that game against Colorado yesterday, so maybe that could be the start of something. I do want to get your take on someone. So maybe after the picks are over, Victor, remind me to ask you about a new guy that I picked up in our dynasty that's currently getting top line deployment. But first, Shams can make his pick. We'll see if that guy gets taken or not.
Oh yeah, I just love how this team will just bring a person I've never heard of, and he's line one, power play one, and then just gets randomly shuffled out. So even if Novak looks interesting now, he's not going to be my pick, and then I'm just going to end up going with Nino here, and seems to be decent, but nothing really to speak glowly about. But he gets points here and there.
Well, I definitely think you guys picked the right 3 first ones, but I still need 3 defensemen. So I guess I'll take there's 2. I could take Ekholm, I could take McDonough, but I think, you know what? I'm going to take Dane McDonough, even though Ekholm's had more points, even though he's playing a little bit more power play. McDonough's got that long track record. He's playing first pairing minutes. So I'll take Ryan McDonough here.
All right. And then while I stall thinking of my team to start the next round, yeah, Victor, is this Thomas Novak anything that people should care about?
Yeah, I don't think so. I've heard you guys, was that Short Shifts? I think that you guys were talking about him. I definitely agree that he's someone I would want right now. And he's obviously that you got to love that. I think you guys mentioned this about giving the guy an opportunity, right? Giving him the top 6 opportunity. But he's definitely someone who, first of all, offensively is, okay. And he's, getting decent opportunity, but he kind of gets caved in defensively. And so that's always worrisome. You have to have him in the right situation, getting O-zone starts. A lot of times coaches will pull them in the D zone. And so they'll get a lot fewer minutes, less opportunities. So, but he's not someone that I'm like super excited about as a prospect. I think he's someone who could, kind of turn things around, but I don't think he's ever going to be like a top of your lineup kind of a guy in your dynasty league.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, 3 points in 3 games so far. So yeah, short term, he's interesting. Yeah, who knows how good he'll be. All right, so the options here gets tricky. Like either just teams where like all the players are good. Though I think I'm going to go to Detroit, just because I think there's 3 like good options and then 1 bad one. So that means I'm hurting Victor, unfortunately. And maybe Victor will disagree and he'll have someone. But then like who to take? There's one guy who's like coming back from injury. Well, not from injury, I guess, from being in the substance problem. I'm not, what is it called? Like he was off getting help for something, and obviously we're wishing him the best, and Jakub Vrana, and now theoretically he's skating, so he could come back and he's like got that superstar potential. But maybe I'll just play it safe, even though I've called out Vrana now. So someone else will get him. I'll just take Lucas Raymond, who I know has been like kind of a disappointment at this point, but I still expect that at least in a points only league, maybe he gets another shot back with Larkin. Recently, Detroit's been running some odd lines. Larkin was playing with Perron and Rasmussen, and Raymond with Kopp and Ernie. But I don't know what's going to happen. Raymond's like not as exciting now as he was like at the start of last season for sure. I know Victor is a big fan. Be curious to know if you still feel that way when it's time for you to make your pick. But yeah, maybe I'm playing it safe here, but I'll go Raymond, and then Shams, you could take the swing if you want on Vrana.
Well, it was for my ranking. I had Raymond and Vrana. So since you took Raymond, I'll take Vrana. Same idea of just, every time he hits the ice, he's been scoring all the points. So hopefully, even if it's not right away, he can just get back to his normal scoring ways.
I think I know who Victor's going to go as a guy who is an enthusiast for this Detroit system, a guy who maybe came up this year. But I'm going to go with a little bit more the steady hand here in Andrew Kopp. The team is very invested in him. He's more than half point per game. I think he'll continue to plug along and get you a few points through the rest of the year. Maybe not get you the most power play, but he'll do something for me. So I'll take Andrew Kopp.
Yeah, I don't think we mentioned either. So the guys unavailable on this team: Mo Sider, Dylan Larkin, Hronik, Perron, and just barely above the cutoff is Dominic Kubalik, who, man, he was so good for a while and he's been so awful. I'm worried about, he's on my cupful team and I'm wondering what's going to happen when all these reinforcements get back in there. I think he might be very droppable, but I think you guys talked about him on the recent show too. And Sider, also someone who we talked about in the preseason as maybe having a hard time living up to that freshman season, and it's turned out that way. I like these picks. I definitely still like Lucas Raymond. He, I think, is, suffering that sophomore slump that often happens. It's just kind of hard to back up that production and be consistent. And so I still think he's going to be very good. And they've kind of had some injuries and played around with the lineup. I think that's messed with him a little bit. Yeah. So, in terms of guys available, yeah, Jesse, you probably do know who I want to take. I'm just a little worried because Jonathan Berggren was, I think, scratched in the last game. So, or at least I didn't see anything from him. That was disappointing because I really could have used those points. Luckily, pulled it off anyways. But he's been really good, and I follow this team for Dauber Prospects, and Berggren has been the real deal in the A, and he's looked good so far this year. I'll take Berggren, even though I'm really worried that he might get sent down or not be with the team the rest of the way. But he's an offensive guy who's, pretty good both ways, actually. And so hopefully he won't get cast aside when Vrana and everyone else returns.
I called it. I knew Victor could not resist Berggren. We're about halfway through this. In fact, we're a little more than halfway. Let's take a brief break and we're going to come back and finish off this draft. Okay, we're back. And next up, I believe we're on to Shams.
So in my hunt for D, I'm going to give a gift to everyone else. I'm going to go with Washington, who actually only has 3 people that are unavailable to be picked, which would be Ovi, Karlsson, and Kuznetsov. And hopefully everything is fine with Karlsson with what happened last game. But with that in mind, I am going to go with Eric Gustafsson, who's in line to have potentially get that power play 1 slot, and then is actually doing well with points even before this opportunity. And hopefully either way will be a good D spot for me.
Yeah, this truly would not have been a bad team to pick 4th on because there are several guys that I want on my team. Gustafsson's a nice pick. He racked up a bunch. I think he had a hat trick the other night. That was wild watching that for the Capitals. But geez, I gotta say, even though my heart says one guy, I think my brain says Dylan Strome is the best pick here. 24 points already in 34 games. He's definitely worked his way into a top 6 role. And unfortunately, with injuries to other players, well, not unfortunately for Dylan, but unfortunately for probably the Capitals and some great historical players, I think he's probably going to retain that role this year. So I'll pass that on to Victor, probably to pick his absolute favorite player in the world.
I'm not going to take him, Jesse. This is a great player great team to pick at the end because there's a lot of great options here. I'm sure we're not spoiling anything for Elon, but I think he's going to get a great pick here. I mean, he basically, between Wilson, Backstrom, who are injured and both should be back soon. Then there's Sonny Milano, who's been a revelation. We talked about him, Jesse, on our show previously, and I remember this was one of our deep cuts, and I remember looking into Milano thinking like, this guy's really good. Why are they not playing him? Why are they not giving him the opportunity? And I said, I think if they do, he's going to be really good. And well, he's been really
I think
good.
I begged them on that episode to put him in the lineup, and they did.
Yeah.
And it's worked out.
Yeah, I mean, he's not even a defensive liability. He's a good two-way player with good offense. Like, I don't understand why they were messing with him earlier in the season. But anyways, to me, it really comes down to these injured guys and how effective they're going to be. And obviously with Backstrom having the hip thing that ended Kessler's career, but I think there are different kinds of players. So I am not going to take Tom Wilson. I'm going to take Nick Backstrom.
Another guy who is not available in the spreadsheet yet. I should have planned ahead for this one. Okay, one sec. Just edit point really quickly. I'll edit this.
Or I can just talk more if you want. So I think the big thing with Backstrom, and if he's available in your leagues, of course, I went and checked in all my leagues, and he's generally not available. But he's someone who's the hip procedure that he had might be concerning for some players. Like if Wilson had this injury, I'd be more concerned. But because Backstrom is just such an intelligent player, and it's more about reading the ice and creating. I think that he will be okay. Unlike Kessler, who was much more of like a physical power forward, I think that was harder for him to overcome. So I'm optimistic that the injury won't limit him as much as it might of a different player. So that's why I picked him, Elon, and you're welcome for that gift. I think either way, you're going to get a good player here.
Yeah, it's like now I almost feel like I don't want to blow it because, with Backstrom, obviously the upside is there. There's some downside. But whatever. Like Connor Sherry's been looking really good playing with Ovechkin. He had a couple assists yesterday. But the thing is, with these guys coming back from injury, I don't know what that's going to do to their deployment. Like Anthony Mantha also sometimes does things. He used to be a guy who we thought was going to be huge back when he was on Detroit. TJ Oshie is like his standard self. He's injured right now. I think he's supposed to come back. So it's like I almost feel like maybe this is like a dumb way to logic it out, but I almost feel like since there's like so many forwards that are similar. Sure, this logic doesn't make sense, but I almost feel like I might as well just go D since I need D anyways, and I can't decide. And I feel like Dmitry Orlov is always half point per game, so I don't think he's even going to be that far behind any of these guys. So I'm just going to go Orlov, actually, lock in a decent-ish D. This might end up being like a really regretful pick, but honestly, like I was probably going to pick the wrong forward. And so then at least this way I can't say that I picked the wrong one. I just went with a safe pick. So I don't know. You guys can tell me if I blew this, but Jesse, you're up now.
Compare this to your Seattle pick. I think if you had swapped them, it might have been better taking a D there and a forward here.
So I could have had So I could have had like Dunn and like who? So who would you have taken? Like Connor Sherry, or would you have taken like Tom Wilson or Oshie? Like who would you have taken?
Tom Wilson. Yeah, I mean, or Milano, but I think Wilson's position in the lineup is going to be more for sure, right? I mean, Milano's been doing well, but when everyone's back, is he still going to get the opportunity? I mean, I feel like he's probably more of a third liner, with some offense contributor. I don't know that he maintains his current level of deployment. So I would have taken Wilson for sure.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's like I just don't know how many, with this being like just total points. Like how long are we waiting? What is the latest? Here, let me just check quickly. The latest update on Wilson, cleared for contact.
He's skating clear for contact. Yeah, he should be back soon. I mean, it's hard. He blew out his knee. I don't know if it's awful. I mean, I think that you could Everly and Wilson from now until the end of the season could be kind of a toss up. I think you could have picked either set of players on either side. I would have picked. I almost picked Wilson. Wilson was the guy I really wanted to take instead of Strome, but I just feel like Strome is going to be more locked into that role, and I don't trust Backstrom's hip at all. But I don't think that was awful.
Wilson versus Eberle is one thing, but Schultz versus Orlov, I don't think is going to be that close, frankly.
I mean, Justin Schultz isn't exactly like blowing the roof off here. He's a free agent in my couple division, but I hear what you're saying. But yeah, I guess the main advice here is everyone should be checking their free agency to see if Tom Wilson is somehow still out there. Because if he's going to be back soon, especially in a bangers league, he could be like among the top. And yeah, he'll probably line up with Ovechkin. He probably wants to assist on, well, it's too late now. Ovechkin already scored the one historic goal. Now he'll have to stick around for 3 seasons to help assist on the next historic goal.
Well, we've all seen that insurance commercial. It has to happen. Although that commercial kind of put it the other way and put it where, what if Ovechkin went out injured and Backstrom was left, anyway, not to be pedantic about commercials involving Washington Capitals forwards. It's really rough, folks. This sounds like an easy draft at this point, probably. You're like, oh, but the problem is almost every team that's left, you almost want to pick third rather than first. And you're getting yourself in a trap by whoever it is that you pick, because there might be a really nice forward who's up here and you think about it, but maybe you really need a D, and that the D is probably going to go a couple of picks later. This is really rough times. I'm going to go to a team, and this is not the strongest D man, but he has a history and I like him. And even though I think the forwards on this team are far superior, I've got to get a replacement level D to start this out. So I'm going to take Ryan Pulock of the New York Islanders, maybe the fourth best player who's going to be picked. I don't know, man. This is getting rough. I like where I'm going to be able to pick, and almost I kind of know where I'm going with about every team here. So I'll go ahead and take him right now.
All right. So yeah, the Islanders are definitely not an exciting team either way. So not a bad team to get a D that probably won't be too far behind what the forwards are producing. I do like a couple of the forwards on here. We should mention who's not available. Noah Dobson, who's just having himself a season. Brock Nelson, as Elon has said, perennially underrated. Brock Nelson, great guy. Matt Barzal. Anders Lee, having a bit of a resurgence. So yeah, you took Pulock, right? Yeah, that makes sense. The next highest rostered guy on that team. And then there's a couple of other options, but generally a lot of available players from New York, for the New York Islanders. So yeah, so my options here are, there's some decent guys. They're all basically around a half point per game. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for and how big your risk is. You know what? I really like Ollie Wally. I'm going to go with Oliver Wahlstrom. I think that, there's some other options here that are probably safe half per game, and maybe his production isn't as safe, but Wahlstrom, I think, has the ability to, be closer to, those top guys on the team than anyone else, even if he has maybe a lower floor.
You know what? I'm very happy with this, actually. I think I've gotten a bit of a gift. I could be totally wrong about this, but if you look at yesterday's game for the Islanders, Anthony Beauvillier took over on the top power play instead of Peugeot and had himself a game, 2 goals and 1 assist versus the Panthers. Before that, he had been not doing so much, but he's also playing on the line with Nelson and Lee. So as far as I see it, I'm grabbing a line 1, power play 1 guy with a 3rd pick on the Islanders, and obviously we'll have to see. But I think Beauvillier is someone I'm also looking at. I mean, I guess I have to give it away because that's what we do as hockey podcasters, is we put our fantasy leagues at risk. But he's someone I'm looking at in a couple for next week if he's still available. I called him a ludicrous streamer on Dave Betton's stream scheme last week, and I think that definitely hit. Like the first 2 games, nothing, but he totally made up for it if you were able to fit him into your lineup on Friday. Probably you didn't. So probably a lot of people, if they had streamed him in, they probably already dropped him or just had him on their bench. I'm excited to see what happens in the second half for the 25-year-old Beauvillier. So I'm happy to take him here and over to Shams.
Yeah, Olivier was the top of my list, so I'm going to just hope for steady Pajot. Even if he doesn't reclaim it, he's just another one of the guys on this team that just gets some points here and there and floor guys. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, if Brian was here, he would have taken Zach Parise, I'm sure, but he'll have to remain undrafted. Okay, Victor, you're up.
Well, I'm gonna do a thing here. I'm glad I waited till the last minute here to look at some of these options, and this may be a bit of a gift for some of the forwards they're taking that have some pretty good upside here. But I'm gonna go to Buffalo and I'm gonna take Owen Power, who just dipped under 50% rostership. He's currently out, but I believe that he was going to be back soon. So let me just check that real quick. And I know that we talked about this earlier. Elon had talked about it on the Calder show. But I'm hoping that he will be out just for the break. That's what it kind of sounds like. And then he'll be back and he'll get back to scoring. Right now he's just at not a whole lot of points in terms of points per game. He's at 30.34 points per game, but hopefully with Buffalo scoring and getting some power play time, that he'll be back up there soon.
I don't get how Owen Power has so few points with how many goals Buffalo has been scoring. Like him and like this guy Matthias Samuelsson like play like huge minutes. They're clearly on the ice for a ton of goals and just never getting an assist or anything. So yeah, I wish you luck. Apparently Power, the latest I'm saying is he's making good progress. That was the last update, but there's no timeline for his return. So hopefully he'll be back early, like you said. Yeah, so I guess obviously the top line on Buffalo is not going to be available for me. Did you mention the names? I don't think you did. So I'll just bring it up here. But obviously, I could do it off of my head, right? Like Dahlin's not going to be available. Skinner, Tuck, and Thompson, no chance. Is there anyone else aside from those four? I'm just bringing it up. Oh, and Dylan Cousins. Yeah, he's been great. So I guess I'll just take someone's on that Cousins line, which would either be Quinn or Paterka. So yeah. Oh, I guess I've changed it up actually. Now I'm seeing here Cousins. Oh no, I guess last game they had Olofsson and Middlestat playing with Cousins for a bit and also Paterka and Quinn. So shaking things up. But anyways, I guess I'll just take Jack Quinn, who I remember everyone was like really down on when he got drafted, where he got drafted, and everyone said that they were so dumb to not take Marco Rossi. But Jack Quinn's been pretty good so far this year. I know he had a good year in the minors last year. I'd be curious to know, like, Victor, if you don't mind, like, do people still generally think that Buffalo blew it with that pick, or now is it like, because we haven't seen anything from Marco Rossi yet. I know there's been injuries that have clouded it, but like, is the thought now that maybe that was a decent a pick, or do people still think they blew it?
Oh yeah, no, there are definitely. Well, I think there are people on both sides that are, some that are digging in their heels and being like, no, that was still the wrong pick, and you just wait. And I still think Rossi is going to be very good, and they're very different types of players. Obviously, I mean, Quinn is just all offense, and has very good instincts to score, whereas Rossi, should be more of your pivot, all around player. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people have come around to, yeah, actually that was pretty good. He's a lot of people, because they played together in junior. So a lot of people thought that, it was really Rossi driving the bus, and it's impossible to tell those things until they play a part. But I think we've seen enough from Quinn at this point to say that, yeah, he is, good on his own, or at least if you put him in a good spot, he can produce without necessarily the most elite talent, because I think he's been good without, the best that Buffalo has to offer. He's still been very serviceable, which is nice to see.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So I got Quinn, you got Power. Shams, where are you going?
Yeah. I'm going to go with Olofsson. I'm not sure on this end, but I'm just going to go with the person with my tiebreaker in these situations, the person who's shooting more. So I'll end up going with him.
Yep. And I am going to close it out with JJ Paterka. There are a couple options here. Another Victor Nuno favorite, Casey Middlestat. There, I'm poking at Victor. I'm teasing him. But yeah, I really would have loved to have Jack Quinn. Jack Quinn didn't just have a good season in the minors last year. He had a dang near historic season. He was just destroying the AHL. And I really have come around on that guy. But so I don't think it's an accident what he's doing in the NHL this year at all. But JJ Paterka is no short shakes either, and I will take him.
Okay, so over to me now, and I guess I got line one, power play one, Beauvillier, so I might as well take another newfound line one, power play one player, at least for now, over in New Jersey. I'll take Thomas Tatar, or Tomas Tatar, probably. He's been playing on the Hischier line all season, currently with Zetterlund also, but yeah, recently it was Tatar, I guess, bumping your Dawson Mercer to get on the PP1 with Hischier, Brad Hughes, and Dougie Hamilton. So I don't know how long that lasts. I'm sure someone will be happy to get Mercer, who I'd also, Victor, when it's your pick, I'd love to hear you judge my trade I made in our dynasty earlier at the start of the year. Basically, I traded Mercer for Vejmelka. People need to know the context of goalies are very hard to find. And then Mercer started getting really good deployment and had a good run. I was like, oh no, how badly did I blow this? But now Mercer's back to doing nothing. But of course, he's like 21 and probably has a long, exciting career ahead. But yeah, someone's going to get Mercer. I don't doubt it, but I'm happy to just grab Tatar, who's getting the good deployment right now and has been pretty solid for a guy that's late in the draft.
Yeah, I think I've said this a couple times, but Tatar was my first and Mercer was my second. So as you're speaking of, like, there's that weird little bit where he was, I forget if it was totally scratched or bumped or what happened there, but he's back and he's playing well. So hopefully that's just a thing in the past.
So you're going Mercer.
Yep.
Man. All right, over to Jesse.
Elon blowing up my spot hard on Mercer. Yeah, I don't realistically think that he would have fallen, but yeah, he definitely was. He might have been my favorite. I definitely would have taken him over Tatar. I'm just famously not a big Tatar fan, even though I see that he has the deployment right now. Oh, it gets rough. I'm having to dip into some lower lines here, I think, in order to be able to get anything of value off this team. And yeah, I guess I'll take Igor Sharangovich. Even though he's a little bit lower, I think he's got some offensive talent. He shows it from time to time. Maybe he'll get on a heater sometime in the second half of this year.
Right. Nice pick. By the way, before Victor goes, I'll just mention quickly, I forgot to, Hamilton, Hughes, Bratt, Heeshear are the 4 unavailable options, obviously, because they would be obvious picks. All right. And Victor gets to take a maybe non-obvious pick now.
Yeah, so I'm very happy with this. I appreciate you guys picking these players because I am going to take Andre Palat, who was really good at the beginning, and he's someone who's kind of fit in pretty well there. And he, he's been injured, but he's skating and sounds like he's imminently going to return. So hopefully he gets back up into the top of the lineup with and hopefully New Jersey gets back to scoring a lot of goals and being good again, because they were just absolutely on a tear. And then they've been kind of terrible lately, or I guess they won a couple games, but they were really bad there for a while. The Fire Lindy chance came back, but yeah, so this is definitely a team with a lot of good options or decent options. In terms of your trade, Elon, I like Velmelka a lot, and goalies are hard to get in that league. The thing I don't love Velmelka in categories leagues as much, because he does have, he plays for Arizona, and so he can blow up some of your rate stats. But one thing I like about our league that's a plug for Fantrax is that you can have a category instead of just regular save percentage, even strength save percentage. So if your goal is good at even strength, and because power play goals are just a little bit, it's a little unfair to the goalie, right? I mean, it's lower save percentage. You guys always talk about it. Even strike save percentage is a better way to measure goalies. And so that's what I like about it. And so he should be better in this format because of that. And yeah, Mercer, in terms of like, he's a forward who should be in the 60 to 70 point range, maybe a little more, but those are a lot easier to come by than a starting goalie, even on a bad team. So I definitely like that deal for you.
Happy to hear it. Okay. So Shams, you're up. That was my last first pick, by the way. So that's just Shams, Jesse, Victor. Also myself, Shams, and Jesse each still need a D. So those are the things to watch for these final 3 rounds.
Yeah, and with that in mind, that's why I'm picking the Rangers first and giving you all guys a gift for just I think all the forwards there are like pretty half decent. Talk about who's not able to be picked. We got Adam Fox, Panarin, Kreider, Zibanejad, Trouba, and then Trocheck. And then he's not the flashiest person, but he has 16 points, and I think it's part of that. I think he's on this. He might get some second power play time, but he's on the ice all the time. And 16 points so far in the season. Keandre Miller is going to be my first pick.
Yeah, there's a tier here, and I feel like no matter what I do, I'm going to take the wrong one here. But why not? Why not invest in pedigree? And I'll take Alexis Lafreniere as my next pick here. I know that there's a certain microwavable beer situation coming up that I could have picked, but I'll take Alexis and hope that he comes up for the second half. Victor, I imagine I'm giving you and Elon some kind of a gift. You're up next.
Yeah, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm not disappointed with this. I know why you picked this team, Shams, because I think of all the teams that has the best D, and not a huge discrepancy for the forwards up top. So, but I am happy with Philly Heat. I'll take. Wait, did you take him? No. You mentioned the Philly Heat, the beer thing. But I'm going to take him. And I also want to thank Philly Heat because a couple of years ago, I won a bet with our buddy Brett Duboff on Philly Heat, betting that Ryan Strome would get more points than him. So I want to thank him for not doing well then, but you can go ahead and kick up the points now, Philly. Don't mind that at all.
And yeah, and I guess I'm not going to complain with the fourth pick here in Capo Caco, who's been playing with Lafreniere and Hedel at even strength. And Caco's actually the one on the biggest hot streak right now. He scored versus the Islanders. And that gave him now 6 points in his last 6 games. So who knows? Maybe this is finally the start of Caco breaking out. Of course, the time on ice indicates maybe otherwise. Maybe he's just getting a little lucky here. I'm seeing a lot of goals on not too many shots. But yeah, fourth on the Rangers. Give me the second overall pick from 2019, Capo Caco. Now we're down to Jesse picking, and then Victor's going to pick. And Jesse still needs a D, and I still need a D.
Yeah, and we've got 2 teams left here, and they're Columbus and Edmonton. I will lead with Columbus, and I'll take Kent Johnson. And boy, I could go either way here, but I think I'm setting Elon up for some success here, but that is where I'm going to go.
Yeah, Ken Johnson is a fun pick. There are a lot of actually decent guys here, and actually not some terrible D options either. So that's reasonable. I think the question here is how long Jenner is going to be out for, because he just injured himself and he had surgery a week ago as we're recording this, or earlier this week, I should say. So he'll miss a few weeks at the beginning here, but I think he might have the highest points of anyone. And I am most confident with him retaining that deployment. So I'm just going to go ahead and take Boone Jenner as my pick.
Yeah, it becomes tough because in the last game, Kent Johnson was centering the Gaudreau line at some point, but then I guess I was seeing that at some point they were trying out, Jack Roslovic, who always gets a shot and ends up losing it. But I really need that D, right? And on Edmonton, just to jump ahead, like who, by the way, we haven't said who's unavailable on Columbus. I guess you can guess. Gaudreau and Laine. Is there anyone else? I can't imagine there is. So yeah, I'll just confirm that. But yeah. Gaudreau, Laine, and then Jenner's only 38%. Jenner should be rostered higher. Maybe he fell a lot because of that injury.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, he was also below 50% back when I did the stream scheme episode, and I was able to pick him as my Shallow League streamer just for him to get injured, ruin my great pick. Anyways, I guess I need to take D. And for now, the guy quarterbacking the top power play is the recently outjured Adam Boqvist. Boqvist is someone who's let me down like many times before. He's anytime I've added him, he's done nothing. But at this point, I mean, I'm not going to take Marcus Bjork. I'm not going to take Tim Burney, even though I did add Tim Burney in our Dynasty League, Victor, because I like his peripherals and he's minors eligible. But yeah, give me Boqvist here. And let's see if he can at least stay healthy and hold that top power play for a little bit until, maybe the secret guy that might come back at some point is our good friend. I'm blanking on his name again.
Blankenberg?
Yeah, sorry. Nick Blankenberg, friend of the show, cousin of Norm, who was in the chat here earlier. Maybe he gets a shot at the top power play, but Blankenberg, we haven't heard anything about him yet. So yeah, I'll take Boqvist, and then Shams, you're up.
Yeah, I'm tempted to try Roslovic because of that, what we just mentioned before with him getting the first line chance, but I don't have much faith in him. So I'm just going to go with Nyquist, who just, while it's not the greatest, he gets decent ice time and will hopefully just net some points for me.
Okay, so we finish off in Edmonton. The options are terrible. Victor, you're going to choose between not McDavid, not Draisaitl, not obviously RNH. It actually brings up here. McDavid, Draisaitl, Nurse, Hyman, RNH, Evander Kane, Tyson Barrie, and Evan Bouchard. I feel like we should have had Bouchard available. Why is he rostered 65% of leagues? People are snoozing there. But anyways, for our purpose, Bouchard is not available. So who are you going to go with, Victor?
Yeah, this is terrible. Just contrasting this team picking first versus Boston and how many points you're going to get out of Krejci versus and points I'm going to get out of whoever I pick is going to be a big discrepancy. So hopefully the other picks can somewhat make up for it, but this is tough. And Yeah, it's so weird looking at these lines and guys that should be producing that are playing with good players, especially at even strength. I mean, the power play, we know all the power play guys are the ones you mentioned. That's who's getting the points. But it's pretty much that's what it is. And at even strength, even if you're playing with McDavid or Draisaitl, it's like not really helping. So it's very frustrating to kind of see the options here. I don't really have any good options, and so I'm not really sure. There's guys I want to take because I kind of still think that they have upside, but they're just not doing anything. So it's very frustrating. I guess for fun, I'll just take Puljujärvi because he's doing nothing, and I just don't think he can continue to be this bad by playing with McDavid and Hyman, or at least he has for a bit. But I'm sure he will just continue to disappoint all of us and not do anything the rest of the season. So prove me wrong, Yessie.
And then like copy everything Victor said and apply it to my pick of Kyler Yamamoto, who is playing with Draisaitl, but also equally bad. So I'll go Yamamoto, not overthink it. The other guy in the top 6 that doesn't do anything. And now Shams and Jesse. Well, Jesse's taking a D on Edmonton that's not named Barry or Nurse. So I don't even really know if a lot of people that are listening that aren't Oilers fans could even name one of these options, but that'll be fun. But Shams first gets to take a bottom 6 Oilers forward. Oh, you're muted, Shams.
Oh no, well, I was just saying is that like basically I have absolutely no clue. So I am just taking whoever was the highest point, which at a wonderful 0.25 on our spreadsheet that we were prepping with, and Derek Ryan, and just be like, yeah.
Is he gonna at least stick in a lineup? Like, I guess he's been playing with McLeod and Holloway. I guess he could have gone forward.
That was the other guy of like, and in all honesty, like having this as a blank might give you the same amount of points, and I'm like confident with getting these guys. So like,
yeah,
as you're saying, like those were, after like, even though they're not the greatest, after Puljujärvi and Yamamoto, at least you can have like a storyline for those people. I may blow this, but even if I blow this pick, the pick I should have taken probably is not going to do that much better anyway.
Yeah, I can't imagine you're like winning or losing this draft based on your Ryan versus Fogle decision. All right, Jesse's gonna finish us off with this D that I'm excited to hear because I have no idea what it's gonna be.
Mr. Irrelevant, and it deserves it. Cody Ceci is my pick. I knew I needed that 7th D. I knew there was nobody on Edmonton anyway. And Cody Ceci, if he scores 1 point, will be meeting my expectations for the rest of the season. So we'll see how that goes, but not too far below the expected production of a lot of these forwards. So yeah, so that does it, guys. The die is cast. The teams are set. And now we're just going to have to see what happens. Who's keeping track of this, by the way? You guys made a great spreadsheet for this thing.
Yeah,
So
I feel like the Keeping Karlsson side made the spreadsheet, so the Fantasy Hockey Life side can upload it to Fantrax, and we're totally even, right?
Oh yeah. Well, Fantrax, yeah, that's the place where you actually could do this and keep track of it. Yeah, no problem. I'll set that up, get everybody's information and put it up in there, because you can, even at this point in the season, folks, you can set up a league and enter draft results and so forth. Yeah, man. Well, this was a lot of fun. Anybody have thoughts on this draft and whether you're excited about your teams? I guess Elon, what are you thinking at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just go ahead and say I think I'm the odds-on favorite here. I like my team. I've got some high-end guys. I think I like my first picks specifically were like Krejci, Schmaltz, William Karlsson, Couture, Lundell, Lucas Raymond, Fowler, and Tatar. Like all guys who I think I'd be interested in rostering a cupful, which is I think pretty decent. And then I got some decent-ish later picks. Brock Besser, I think could end up being a hit. Like Yarncrocs been good on Toronto. You heard me excited on this show about Beauvillier and who was the other power play one line? Oh, that was Tatar. Right. I don't know. I have Eberle, Rijo. I don't know. I feel like I have a solid enough team. My D aren't terrible. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it. We didn't come up with any stakes. I don't know if maybe that's something we should like discuss at some point, and then we could discuss on like the next episodes of our shows. We should probably have something on the line here.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Maybe we could ask the
yeah.
patrons of Keeping Karlsson or Fantasy Hockey Life to discuss in our Discord. So what we should have here. Maybe like the winner. I like this types of stakes where like the last place has to do something for the first place. Like do some embarrassing thing. Sing a song. Write and sing
Oh
a
my
song
gosh.
about how great the
Oh
first
God,
place
I would have
person is.
spent a little bit more time with this if I knew that was the stake.
Okay, we'll discuss.
Yeah, stakes have to be established before.
Yeah,
Elon.
yeah.
Come
My team is
on.
too good now. You guys aren't going to agree to anything serious
Oh
now.
man,
Oh, it's gonna be
setting
so
yourself
nice when
up for yeah. All right. Well, we'll see how that turns out. What about you, Shams? You said you're expressing unconfidence in your team. What do you think
I don't
at this
know.
point?
Looking back, I probably played it too safe. But the one thing I am happy is that while they're not the greatest pool overall, I am happy with the D I have. So hopefully, just that plus steady forwards can. I'm not sure I have first, but I may be a second, and then if I get lucky, I can sneak up with the first place with my even team.
All right. And how about you, Victor?
Yeah, I kind of feel similar to Shams. I think that I like some of my D. I think Moser, Miramonov, Power could really turn things around and be, you know, pretty nice surprises. Lundqvist, but and Sandin, yeah. So some of the forwards though, I mean, I didn't get your David Krejci's, Schmaltz, so I was a little bit more strategic with picking those certain teams that need that I didn't really want to pick last with, so that's certainly part of it. But yeah, I mean, I think that it was a real huge benefit to go first. So that was something that's going to be hard to overcome. Most of my first picks, Kuzmenko, Doc, Sandin, Wheeler, Verziska, Granlund, Power, Puljujärvi. I mean, I think most of those guys are someone that you would be interested in rostering. Hartman, I think, could be good. I definitely took some swings though. So if it works out really well with some of the injured guys like Wheeler, like with Jenner, if some Backstrom, it really depends on their health. And if they come back and are really effective, then I'll have a chance. If they are injured longer or don't come back at full health and struggle, then I'm definitely going to be at the bottom.
Yeah, and I would say, yeah, I hate to say it, Elon, but I kind of like your team too. I'm not terribly pleased with my team, but then it's not an exercise where you're going to love your team because, frankly, all the top guys are off the board. So this is really about scraping and hoping. And I think last year I felt like I went with too many big swings, too many like rookies coming up, and I backed off a little bit from that this year. I do have a couple of rookies, but I don't think I took anybody who's not even in the NHL yet, and hoping that they're going to come up and make an impact. But we'll see how it goes. My first picks, I'm really uninspired with looking at it, but it was so hard to figure out which are the teams that you wanted to jump on and have the first mover advantage versus hoping that maybe Shams would pick somebody and allow me to have the second best guy who I liked as good as the first best guy, and that type of a thing. So it's a fascinating format. I know you guys do that on Keeping Karlsson for various things, don't you?
Yeah, Brian and I actually used to do this as kids. Like we had it was actually called the Jew Pool. And it was all of our Jewish friends. And once a year we'd get together and do a draft like this. We had a big board, before like you did it online. And yeah, I don't know how we invented this format, but yeah, feel free to use it. It's a pretty fun draft format, I guess, except for when your players get injured. I'm pretty sure every year of the Jew Pool, well, usually Brian won. And if Brian didn't win, then it came down to who had the fewest injuries, usually, because that was like a full season. At least here we have a half season to at least catch some of the injuries. And you guys still chose to pick injured players. I decided not to. Yeah, by the way, I've posted this. So if you go to keepingkarlsson.com/draft, then you can see the results of the draft, and you could let us know. I guess tweet at Keeping Karlsson or at, what is it, Fantasy Hockey Life? I don't think it's at Fantasy Hockey Life.
Fan Hockey Life is me. Victor Nuno 12 is Victor. So yeah, keep in touch with us. But yeah, this was a ton of fun, and it went long and it was a grind, but I really enjoyed it. Great crossover again, guys, and let's definitely revisit this at the end of the season, in which case I lose, in which case nobody will ever speak of this again. I think that's probably the best way to approach it. But thanks, Shams. Thanks, Elon. And thanks, Victor. this was a great draft.
All right.
All right.
One
If you
thing
give me that
to-
audio file. Yeah.
I just wanted to point out before we sign off too much is that we should remember this time, because actually this is the best time to do it, not at New Year's, because there's the 3-day break. I think last time we did it, it was really hard because it was like right in the middle of all the games and right like at the Winter Classic. So if we do this again next year, we should definitely think about like depending on when Christmas
doing it
falls,
during
but
the break.
there's a 3-day break, and so it's kind of perfect to like hit it somewhere in that break, and then
And now Ben's lost his spot. Now this is like Shams. It's basically like if you bail 1 year, you're out forever. It's only now if Shams if Shams bails, then fine, and then we'll open the spot again.
Elon, you get to pick your compatriot there. So
I love.
I'll have to make the calendar free then. I'll have to start making my plans for 2023.
Put
No
it
trips.
down now. Don't don't schedule anything.
Sorry, family, I'm not coming home for Christmas. Got this draft to do.
Hey, computers and mics are portable, as Brian and I discussed on the last Patreon cast.
Oh yeah.
I guess.
I was just going to joke is my family internet living in the sticks. I would be surprised if I could even watch you guys. Let's just say that.
Sure. Well, okay, so I'm going to stop the live stream, by the way. Thanks to everyone who watched live. Hopefully you enjoyed the 3/4 of the draft after we remembered to turn on the stream. So see you all later. I'm going to end the stream. Bye.